It's now been 1 year since the launch of Apple TV+, the tech giant's first foray into the world of content production and distribution was met with some trepidation from industry commentators, but it was still able to generate a significant buzz when it first became widely available. However, without a pre-existing library of content to draw upon, like Disney+, which was also first launched around the same time a year ago, has Apple's streaming experiment managed to capture and sustain the attention of consumers so engrossed in a culture of binge watching? The answer that is most immediately apparent is simply no, it hasn't. Unlike most of the other major streaming services, the majority of Apple TV Plus users spent the last year on a free trial, automatically given to any customers who had recently bought an Apple product. That free trial, which was due to expire in November, has also just been extended to February. Apple's numbers have not been made publicly available, but it's estimated that they have over 10 million users, many of which are likely to be on the free trial. For comparison, Disney Plus was able to amass 10 million users in its first 24 hours, none of whom subscribed as part of a free trial deal. What's more, of Apple's 10 million users, only around half have actually used the streaming service. I'm guilty of that myself. I'm on the free trial, and in the last year I've watched 2 shows and 2 movies on Apple TV+. But the reason for that, and I suspect the reason why the service hasn't gained more traction, is the lack of a back catalogue. To continue the comparison with Disney+, I would argue that currently they actually have fewer original shows and movies worth watching than Apple, with the Star Wars spin-off The Mandalorian being the only exclusive of note. However, where Disney has succeeded is the massive back catalogue of Star Wars, Marvel, Pixar and Disney shows, as well as a handful of family-friendly Fox properties now. Most of the X-Men movies are now also available to watch on the service alongside the MCU films and shows. Disney has also slowly been adding more original content over the last year, although nothing has quite entered the cultural zeitgeist in the same way as The Mandalorian. More original shows are on the way, with the first of the Marvel spin-offs, WandaVision, expected to launch before the end of the year. The Marvel and Star Wars spin-off series have another advantage over Apple's offerings, in that they're based on a pre-existing intellectual property, and so already have an audience built in. It is much easier to attract new subscribers with the promise of a show based on Obi-Wan Kenobi than it is to attract an audience for a series like Defending Jacob. Although, as mentioned, the current slate of Disney Plus originals is nothing to boast about, the masses of older films and shows have been enough to keep audiences sticking around. Apple TV Plus is a streaming service like no other, in that it offers its original programming exclusively. And so far, none of its films and shows have quite captured the attention of the masses. Some have come close, with series like Defending Jacob and The Morning Show just about entering the mainstream when they were released, but they haven't had the longer-lasting impact of a show like The Mandalorian. Without that critical hook, unfortunately audiences haven't flocked to see the latest Apple releases. Which, I would argue, is a shame. As mentioned, I've only watched 2 Apple originals so far, See and For All Mankind, and I found both to be of great quality. See is one of a handful of shows I've actually properly binged over the last 12 months. I found the setting and the characters to be incredibly interesting, and the fight choreography and cinematography are fantastic. For All Mankind is similarly engaging, with a really interesting concept behind it, and I still can't get over how good it looks. The sequences on the moon look better than a lot of current sci-fi films released. There are still a couple of other shows I'd like to watch before my free trial expires, which is a real problem Apple faces. Without a major library of content, I have no desire to continue to pay for the service after the trial. Certainly, there are shows and films they have planned over the coming years which I'd love to see, like Spielberg's Third World War II series, or the upcoming Sci-Fi Foundation, or Scorsese's new film, as well as the continued seasons of See and For All Mankind. However, my plan, and I think it's fair to say the plans of many other consumers, would be simply to pay for a month for the service further down the line when they have more material available. Indeed, it's estimated that almost 30% of free trial users have no plan to renew their subscription once that trial period ends. This is something that I think Apple has recognised and are playing a long game with their streamer. In fact, Apple TV Plus seems to be just one cog in a very grand design. The Apple One bundle, which collects 6 individual services that the company offer, including Apple Music, which was far more successful at competing with existing services like Spotify than Apple TV Plus has been with Netflix, is set to be their flagship subscription service going forward, rather than any one of them individually. When bundled with these other services, Apple TV Plus is suddenly much more enticing, especially considering the overall net discount compared to getting all services individually. Apple will, of course, need to continue to expand and develop their library of original content if they want to keep individual subscribers sticking around. And if you look at their slate of upcoming projects, it's clear that they are committed to properly entering the video streaming arena. Perhaps the most interesting part of this whole experiment is the fact that it hadn't happened sooner. iTunes was made somewhat obsolete many years ago with the dawn of music streaming, and as briefly mentioned, Apple Music rose in its wake to great success. Why it's taken them this long to get into the world of video streaming is a mystery. Apple is a tech giant with very deep pockets, which is part of why their initial offerings have boasted such impressive budgets, and they've managed to attract top-tier talent like Spielberg and Scorsese to their service. I have to wonder, if they'd started a few years ago when streaming began to properly boom, if they would be one of the superpowers of streaming, with Netflix and Amazon Prime, much like Apple Music is now one of the key players in the world of music streaming. So, in its first year, has the Apple TV Plus experiment worked? In my opinion, no. But it's not worth writing off just yet. There is an impressive lineup of film and television projects yet to be produced for the service, and the content it already boasts is of good quality taken as a whole. Without a pre-existing back catalogue to rely on, it's been slow to start, but in the near future, it could be one of the streaming services to look out for. It has a lot of potential, especially as part of the Apple One bundle, but I think we won't know for certain the extent of its success for some years to come. Thanks for watching. I'd love to hear what you all think about Apple TV Plus in the comments below. Have you enjoyed the content it offers so far, or do you think it's just another in the long line of streamers to avoid? If you've liked this video, please consider subscribing for more. Until next time, thanks.